Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the English broadcast of the International Wildcard Invitational. I'm still Matthew Fish Stewart, and joining me for this next game is still Zach Rusty Pie. How are you feeling now, Mr. Zach Rusty Pie?
Yeah, good. That was a very exciting game. I think it came down to the wire. I think is the best way to describe it. Very back and forth. Neither team knowing how to end, but we got there, and we're here for one more. And I got my same play-by-play twice in a row. It's weird.
Fantastic. Somehow, play-by-play sticks around this time. Not getting fired right off the bat. But before we break down that game between INTZ, and Detonation Focus Me, let's take a look at the results of today so far, and also the matches that are going to be coming up. For now, it's Supermassive Esports. They were able to take down Hard Random, which was considered, a little bit of an upset. Hard Random were undefeated up until this game. Saigon Jokers able to take down the Chiefs Esports Club and INTZ Esports after a 67-minute slugfest against Detonation Focus Me, were able to pick up the win. Once again, blue side buff seeming really strong coming into day number 3 as Hard Random will be taking on Isurus Gaming in our next match of today. But before we go into that match, let's break down that game a little bit, Rusty. INTZ taking on Detonation Focus Me. That was a very quiet game up until about 60 minutes into the game.
Yeah, I mean, again, there are not many things that you can actively break down from these teams because there wasn't a lot of active movement from either of these teams. They were playing around objectives slowly. There was a Dragon start from DFM. There was the Baron transition from DFM, which just gave the Dragon over to INTZ on the flip side and ended up getting 5 of those instead. So a lot of mixed focus, no one really making the right decisions and actually making the right plays to get in until it hit late game enough that it didn't matter. And it all came down to one moment where they actually just got the team fight, the Brazilian side.
And you know what? For me, every single team fight really just looked like, is Jinx dead? Yes, they win. Is Jinx not dead? Okay, Destination Focus Me, get the heck out of there because the Jinx is about to rain some parade on you. That's really what it felt like at about 56 minutes into the game.
Well, that's just what the team composition is, right? It's a Jinx composition. They just want to keep the Jinx going. A 6-item Jinx is always going to be the biggest carry, the biggest damage dealer on any team, so they played around him. And the thing is, they played almost too carefully around him, and the Jinx himself almost played too carefully about being alive the entire time.
In that entire game, it was Detonation Focus Me with about a 5,000 to 6,000 gold lead, holding on quite strong against the 1-3-1 split push that came in from INTZ. But each and every single time, it felt like INTZ, they took small objective after small objective to just stay in that game and progressively take small advantages all the way till the Nexus exploded.
But honestly, it was just the overgreed trying to finish the game from DFM. They were very sparing with their commitment to closing the game out. Gave over the 5th Dragon, gave over the entire game from it. Like, inexcusable mistakes from Detonation Focus Me came back to bite them. You can be 6k gold ahead, but if you can't execute a team fight, then you're never going to be able to win that game.
So fine, let's take a look at those mistakes really quickly because there were quite a few. You mentioned the Zerat Portal not being in bottom lane. You also mentioned the Wave pushing towards top lane as well during that final fight. The overcommitment to try and end the game as well, with Lucian getting taken down really quickly there. Do you think that there was just a collection of mistakes that ended up to the loss of the game from Detonation Focus?
Absolutely. There was plenty of mistakes, right? But the biggest one to me was just side wave minion manipulation. Like, team fighting execution, fair enough. That's something that you can all work on. But please just keep the side waves controlled.
Well, that's enough for INTZ going up against Detonation Focus Me. That was INTZ picking up the win 67 minutes in after a huge slugfest with Detonation Focus Me. Detonation Focus Me almost took it all the way down to the final Nexus turret, but unfortunately, we're not able to close out the game. However, we'll be moving on to our next match of today. We have 7 matches actually lined up today, but this one will be Hard Random taking on Isurus Gaming. What are your thoughts on this matchup, Rusty?
Yeah, this is a very unusual matchup. Isurus Gaming, you don't really know what to expect from them, and sometimes they pleasantly surprise you with crazy performances, right? And they're a team that I feel when they make a decision, and I'm not sure who the shot caller is for the team, but when he makes that decision, they'd all do it. And they like 110% commit to that execution. He says Rift Herald, 5-man the Rift Herald. That's just kind of how Isurus Gaming work to me. Against the side of Hard Random, who are very self-thinking, as well as like moving around the map with the double teleports. They do everything individually, and they bring it together collectively later. It's a slight contrast early that could kind of just get rid of itself later. I'm losing words. Lost them.
Well, don't worry. I was calling Jinx Thresh at the end of that last game. We're all losing words here today, apparently. It's a little bit early for a 67-minute slugfest, but, let's break down that game a little bit more. So let's start with Isurus Gaming. From Latin America South, they had a very interesting season, almost just barely clinching their playoff contention, took every game to a very, very long, drawn-out match, and was always being punished during their early game here, and that seems like the trend in IWCI for the team as well. They get punished early very hard, and they just try to hold out for those 56-minute drawn-out games like we saw them do against Lion Gaming, and like we saw against Zygon Dragons. Well, they tried to hold it as much as possible.
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely. And that's the thing, right, is like I called these guys really good at working as a team. The decision they make is always going to be in for a penny, in for a pound type of style. But that just means that they're not very good early, right? Because early laning phase, sure. Like that actually causes issues if you're going to try and do everything as a team when laning is more important and much more prevalent. So that could be where the downfall of them is going to be. But I'll tell you what, when they actually group up as 5, they look pretty dominant. So
we'll have to see if ISWIS Gaming can continue doing that, or if they can clean up some of their early mistakes. They've been doing a little bit. They're trying to clean up some stuff in IWCI so far, but it's still not looking great for them. On the other side of the rift, it's going to be Hard Random, a team that was undefeated until this morning, finally lost their game here. The CIS region, looked a little bit shaky. They'd have to bounce back after a loss.
Yeah, they definitely looked a bit shaky in their first game of the day. They've been commanding through the first 2 up until this moment, however, so they've got a lot of positives to fall back on after their first defeat. Just revert to what works for you anyway. The Anivia was banned. They actually picked the LeBlanc away as well, so they had to bring out a new 3rd champion in the middle lane. But they all looked fine. Honestly, it wasn't too much of a big deal. Supermassive were just above and beyond in that particular game, and when they win, they look phenomenal.
They certainly were. And there's a lot of similarities between these two teams in the fact that they like to work around double teleports quite a lot. They use that very effectively, both from the Latin American South team and also from Hard Random here coming in from CIS. What do you think would be the main factors between these two teams? What are we looking at coming into this game?
Hard Random probably just want to get ahead early, I believe, would be the easiest thing for them to do, to then translate that lead into a point where team fighting, though ISRS Gaming are good at it, it shouldn't matter too much because they're already far enough ahead. Similar to what happened to the Chiefs earlier today, it came down to the crunch and they just could not meet them effectively. And to me, that comes down to having a double teleport. Firstly, something that Hard Random always commit to doing, and something that ISRS actually need to answer with. Otherwise, they would fall behind in that situation.
And that's something that's been happening very frequently with ISRS Gaming as well. They always tend to fall behind very early on in the game. And it's mostly from mistakes coming out from the laners, getting overextended, getting caught out, and no pressure coming in from their jungle. Are we going to look at this jungle matchup? What are the matchups that we're going to be looking at to be an impact in this game?
I think it goes without saying that we look towards the jungle every single time. I think the proactive jungling of Kratos is something that needs to be addressed. I know that Graves is a small preference as well, and it's very good at wave clearing, very good at actually jungling, but when it comes to being proactive and breaking the halfway point of any map, which is the river naturally, struggles a bit because you're going to be against what is generally a equal, if not faster jungler in Nidalee or Kindred. The flip side, I suppose, is when they start actually bringing out the Elise, and they start utilizing that and getting heavy ganks off. The Graves actually quite good at fighting the Elise and should be meeting 1v1.
One thing I really have to praise ISRS Gaming for is the fact that they're able to adapt to the meta rather quickly. They showed this in both their Latin American South tournaments and also now in IWCI. We see a lot of effort coming in from both Pride and EPM, and the solo laners from the team doing pretty decent on these meta tanks and also the control mages in the mid lane. Do you think that this is going to be something that Hard Random have to answer?
Hard Random should be fine in the middle lane. I do think that the EMP is actually a very good player that will probably cause some small issues. But for the most part, Kira is just, yeah, he is insanely good. I think even Smurf in the game that they were losing, he was the one in particular that was losing, right? Because it was like a 5-0 echo against him. He was picked into a bad matchup, still confident, still knows when he can go in. I think there's a lot of positives in their solo lanes from the CIS region to match that of the Latin America South.
So are we going to see very similar picks coming out from these two teams as well? Because very similar play style, Hard Random, they have a little bit better early game. That's something that we thought they're going to be capitalizing in this matchup. ISRS Gaming, lackluster early game, but like to bring it late. Will we see these two teams trying to brawl out late, or will we see Hard Random trying to mix it up, do something very early?
I think the number one thing that we need to think of right now, even in contrast to top laners, is get rid of Echo. Because I probably scarred him from that first game, to be fair. It was like a 10-1, I believe, was the final score for that Echo. Just get it off the Rift. It should not be there, like at all.
Yep.
It's not fair.
It was on the Rift last game. Not very pleasant, to be honest, with that Echo just running around, creating a havoc in the backlines here. And that's something we haven't really touched on here, the backlines for the teams, the AD carries, the supports in the bottom lane. What can we expect from this matchup? We've kind of gone around all the lanes, kind of identified this is going to be the jungle pressure coming into this matchup, but let's touch on them very quickly because we have some time. What do we expect from the bottom lane duo?
So to me, like looking at the bottom lane duo, if we start with AD carries, they're just standard. Like I think the AD carries are solid. They get it done. They're actually very good AD carries. But I actually always have to take my attention towards the support role because Licrit, he is a beast.
Well, these are two teams with very similar play styles. Very similar strategies and how they want to win the game. Only difference is Hard Random like to do that very early, as Risk Gaming like to take it as late as they possibly can. Maybe even 67 minutes late. Perhaps I could take a note out of Destination FM's and INTZ's book here as we go into Champion Select for the match between Hard Random and Risk Gaming. So far, Rise and Sivir have been banned away by Hard Random. Kindred, and Echo have been taken away by Risk Gaming.
Yeah, and one thing to note, I'm pretty sure Hard Random has banned Sivir in every single game that they have been in. It doesn't matter what side they're on, they always ban the Sivir, and I feel like maybe Miracle's been burnt by it in the past. They've decided it's not something they want to be up against.
Get rid of the really strong meta 80 carry pick. Not,
But even the Rise ban, like they've picked Anivia into it and they were happy to play against it and they won that game, but still, they get rid of it.
Could possibly be thrown out at Pride, who has played this Rise in the top lane quite a few times. Strundle's going to be the final ban coming out from Hard Random, and Alistar will follow shortly after by Risk Gaming.
Solid bans. I think everyone respecting a lot of the strong champions currently available to them. Liquid's got his Bard available as well. Old Bardo is there. That to me is a very curious thing, because looking towards the first pick, that makes a lot of sense. The second rotation will definitely need to be considered for the support role.
And the Maokai is that first pick coming from Hard Random here. A very strong tank that we see thrown into the top lane quite frequently, has returned into the meta with a little bit of quality life buffs, and also got some scaling magic resistance as well, which is quite important in the current meta with all these AP tanks running around the Rift. We'll have to see what Risk Gaming decide to respond with their next two pickups. A lot of very strong picks left up and available. We think of the likes of Kindred, Graves, Gragas even available here. Brom still left up and available. Kalista as well. Lots of very strong meta picks still available.
Yeah, Gragas is the flex between jungle and top, is the first big standout as they do lock those in. Kalista, the AD carry, very versatile, very good with their support champion in particular. Most likely to see the Brom go with that one as well to diffuse a lot of damage out of Hard Random. It's actually a very solid first rotation here from Risk Gaming.
We'll have to see what Hard Random decide to respond with. They're currently hovering over Graves and Anivia. These are two champions we've touched on. Graves, pretty strong in the jungle right now, resurging as a very dominant pick. In fact, this entire split, ever since he's been changed, has been a very dominant pick up in the top lane, in the jungle as well. We'll have to see if Hard Random pick that one up. But there's still Nidalee left available. Elise is still up as well as one of the lower tier junglers that are, just beyond the reach. But it is Graves that gets locked in. We saw the Anivia hover coming for Hard Random. They played that once or twice as well. But Azir was left up and available, could possibly take it away.
Yeah, and I would imagine him going for Azir's taking it away from EMP.
And that's exactly what they're going to do. EMP had a pretty impressive game on that Azir, was able to go toe-to-toe against LeBlanc, being played by Warzone from the Saigon Jokers. Definitely a champion Hard Random might not want him to pick up, try and capitalize on taking him down very early in this match.
Let's not, make anything up either. He didn't just go toe-to-toe with Warzone. He got camped and still went toe-to-toe with Warzone.
Was being ganked by the top laners, junglers, support came in there once or twice
everybody,
as well.
yeah. Including the kitchen sink came to party in that middle lane at one point.
Have to see if Hard Random throw that kitchen sink back at ISG one more time. But for now, just waiting for the next two pickups. So far, with the Kalista and Gragas being picked up, we've seen Gragas, kind of be transitioning up into a top lane role, not so much a jungler anymore, but it's still, like you mentioned, a huge flex pick here as Karma and Poppy are going to be the next two lock-ins for Risk Gaming.
I quite like this rotation, honestly. I think the team composition that the Latin America South team have put together is very threatening in every single aspect of the word threatening.
And they've got some very unorthodox flex picks, you could say, as well. Karma, most likely in the mid lane has been thrown support once or twice. Poppy, most likely top laner. We see Dumbledore rocking that with his Hextrigger down in the bottom lane. And like you mentioned, Gragas as well. Normally up in the top lane, can be thrown into the jungle as well. So Risk Gaming, using that last pick very nicely to hide their final piece of their strategy and team composition. But there's good old Bardo. He'll be locked in with Lucian as his AD carry in the bottom lane. Yeah,
Lucian Bard locked in a dangerous and very much threatening bottom lane. They don't know who the support is, I believe, as they've kind of flexed it.
I'd rather just pick top to bottom. They're like, yeah, what do you want? Okay, I'm getting Maokai.
Yeah, they pick their roles.
I'm getting Graves.
No swaps. Means they get longer toilet breaks. That's how that works. Risk Gaming, again, yet to pick their support, you would imagine. They could flex the Karma to their support role, but ideally the Karma is mid, especially knowing that it's against an Azir.
Very strange to use the red side as that final pickup. We'll have to see what they decide to go with. A lot of very strong support still left up and available. Brom does come to mind here as one of those possible picks, but they lock in LeBlanc here, so they're going to be throwing most likely Karma as the support down onto the bottom lane with Kalista. And they're going to be giving EMP his LeBlanc in the mid lane. He wants to show he knows this matchup better than Warzone did last time.
Yeah, and it's not that Karma Kallista's a bad lane either. I was just very surprised they decided to put it in the support role with champions like Brom available to them. LeBlanc, however, into Azir is a very much favorable decision for Isurus Gaming, or so you would think anyway, to do. And so it makes a lot of sense that they would put that one there.
And we are going to head into the game between Hard Random and Isurus Gaming very shortly. Where are we looking for the powers between these two team compositions alive for these two teams?
Well, I think it's safe to say that Kalista Karma is potentially even stronger than Illusion Bard. Like, that bottom lane is just going to be hitting each other constantly. It's going to be dangerous down there. And then the first step, you look at the bottom lane, you say, yeah, they're going to be fighting each other a lot. How do the junglers impact that? How do the top laners impact that? Do mid laners have teleport? Like, all of these questions actually have to come. The answer's no to a lot of them. Teleport in particular. And Malco has to deal with a Poppy, so it's very hard for him to teleport in. So Poppy perhaps the one as a point of power, and Gragas is much more of a ganking jungler than that of a Graves. So there's a lot of subtle bonuses here for Isurus Gaming if they're looking to impact the map more effectively through the aggressive bottom lane that they have.
So now that we've looked at the champions, let's touch on that double teleport that we talked about earlier as well, because Hard Random and Isurus Gaming, very well known for rocking the double teleport on Summoner's Rift. Now that there's an Azir in the mid lane who normally doesn't take teleport, and he's up against a LeBlanc who can opt to pick Ignite to be a little bit more aggressive, do you think we'll still see double teleports coming into this match?
I would imagine there's no teleports used in the middle lane now. Whilst I think that it's a very good thing to have, if both of you don't have it, then it should be perfectly fine. That's the trade-off that you get for it. So picking something like Azir, risking LeBlanc to go teleport means you'd actually just do better in lane. She'd have less kill threat. And because she wants to win lane, because it's the counter matchup of LeBlanc into Azir, she has to go Ignite. Everything will kind of settle itself down, but it means that it's much more important that junglers and top laners once again get it going.
We have loaded onto Summoner's Rift between Hard Random and Isurus Gaming here for the 2016 International Wildcard Invitational. And there's a 5-man stack up top lane. Good old Bardo is leading the charge. They're trying to get a jump onto one of the players here. Will be spotted out by a ward that was put down by Poppy. Hard Random know it's there, but they're still going for this deep invade.
Yep. This is one of the first times, I believe, or one of the very few times that we've seen an actual invade this early in the game. And once again, lane swap vision is the name of the game. To be fair, the flip side of Isurus are just getting vision of where they are.
Yep.
Which is different. Opposed to the lane swaps, they might want to fight this.
Well, lots of poke damage coming out from Karma already, trying to stop Bardo from moving forward. The barrel just not going to connect, but trying to zone out Hard Random from getting back into their lanes quickly. But there are the 3 wards being placed down deep into the red side of Isurus Gaming's jungle to spot out that potential lane swap coming in from the team.
And you can tell Licorice knows what he's doing, and Miracle was like, oh, where do I ward? And there was a ping. He's like, oh, crap, better ward there.
That's the one.
But yeah, this is a definite sign of a lane swap based off that vision that they put in place. And this is a Bard and Illusion opting to deny a Poppy. Yep. Might be to hide Smurf, though, above all else.
Well, they do end up getting that lane swap. Hard Random should be able to head up into that top lane, go 2-on-1. But meanwhile, we will see Kalista and Karma take down the Gromp camp at level 1, get a little bit of experience advantage for themselves, and slowly start the slow push for the lane swap. Meanwhile, the jungler's going to get a little bit of help from Karma too in this lane swap and, you know, potentially help him clear out and farm up a little bit better.
Yeah, why not, you know? I actually think the lane assignments are about to be swapped. And it's very weird to see a Karma recall without having to go top lane. You have to remember this is a support Karma, so there's no reason for Kalista to stay bottom or for Karma to go top if they're not going together. So you'll most likely see that wave cleared by Zycro and then disappear with a recall. Head back up to that top lane as the player cams have just gotten hectic.
Ooh, that is some interesting players.
That
Hello.
Hectic. All right. So we are going to match lanes, however, sooner or later. And it also means a longsword or a boots advantage for the AD carry of Isurus Gaming, which generally prompts the counter recall out of Hard Random.
So far, though, nothing too much happening between the two teams. It's going to be Gragas taking away the Rift Scuttle camp.
And we get Australian lanes.
Yay! So the lanes are going to be forced between the two teams. You know, upside down, a little bit tilted. But Karma and Kalista will get that lane matchup they were looking for. They
that
don't
was
like being swapped upon.
Aggressively put in place by Newbie. I think it's the best way to describe what he did. He recalled like 30 seconds earlier and was like, we're going top. Zyko's like, just after this wave, man. No.
It's like, nah, now.
Absolutely put the foot down and force the duo lane to meet each other in the top lane.
Don't need lanes when you can farm champions, mate. Come up top with me. Get this done right.
That doesn't make sense. He's still in a lane.
That's true.
That's
This is why you're the color caster.
That's a rule of thumb for junglers, right? Where you say champs, not camps.
Meanwhile, EMP going to get jumped on here by LeBlanc in the mid lane. Both the junglers making a little bit of an appearance here as well. Gragas has got the barrel down onto the Azir, but Gray should be able to push him backwards with his shotguns. And this is aggressive positioning coming in from Karma and Kalista. Good old Bardo taking a little bit of damage here. Going to be tethered down. Flashes come forward. Going to be able to get the heals off as well from both these teams. But so many spears into him. Not going to be enough to take him down. But they're still putting on so much aggression onto the AD carry support.
Yeah, and this is the Karma Kalista. The thing is, though, Summoners burnt absolutely everywhere in this lane. We already said the junglers are going to be a big deal. Well, increase that by tenfold for the rest of this laning phase, or for at least the next 5 minutes. There's only 2 flashes remain. They are thankfully on the AD carries, though.
We saw a little bit of action at middle lane as well. It was EMP that came off the back end of that. Had to recall first, and Zee will be able to push up that lane as much as he possibly likes. It's Poppy and the tree just going to be farming it out down in that bottom lane for now. Happy duking it out as the 2 tanks. As we go back into that top lane, like you mentioned, Kalista and Karma, they burn all the summoner spells on Bard. Got the heal from Lucian as well. Had to use both. Had to use the same summoner spells on their side, but you'd have to think they'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I think you'll find that they're perfectly fine. Now, the Karma and Kalista lane well and truly in control. You could tell by the fact that they wanted standard lanes this aggressively. They definitely thought that they could win the lane. They've proven that to be correct.
And Isras Gaming seems to have a plan for this lane. They have Kragus waiting inside the brush.
You can see the hesitation, by the way. He'll wait for a minion to be attacked before he considers going in. And it's not going to be the first melee minion, it'll be the second one. But well done from Miracle.
Is able to spot them out. Senses something fishy coming in for the side of Isras Gaming. This is very different from their team, though. They're known to fumble the early game, but this time round, Isras Gaming have gone into the game against Hard Random with a plan for early game, and that is to get this 2-on-2 going.
And to be fair, I still think they're fumbling the early game. They're just not in the 2v2. Even then, they're still losing in farm in this 2v2, right? Like, top lane for Hard Random is the only one that's behind. You've got 27 to 13 in terms of CS for junglers right now. And you've got 40 to 32 in a mid lane that's actually still going well for Kira in what was considered a good matchup for LeBlanc.
This is equated to about 400 gold in Hard Random's favor for now. As here comes the Magical Journey. No flashes onto this Karma support. Going to get locked down by the binding. They're going to be able to take you down. First blood goes to good old Bardo.
And that's the thing, right? Level 6 Graves, because he was hard farming his jungle, has a longsword on top of his jungle item, and is leaps and bounds ahead of Kratos, who is level 4. Very easy to just take the Magical Journey and burst their face off, really. Well done from Hard Random to secure that first blood.
Gragas tries to come around the side there to help out with defending this top lane outer turret, which gets shut down incredibly low by the 3 members. They were able to get that successful gank off onto the Karma.
Still 1,000 in the lead, man, as well, without a turret being taken.
And this is Isras Gaming once again. You said they were fumbling that early game, and that gank coming in for Graves makes that even worse.
It solidifies that fact even further as well, yeah. Because the Maokai is always going to be relevant, and he's actually caught up in farm perfectly fine. Pride actually needs to try and have an impact on the rest of this map if he wants to get the rest of his team going. And EMP cannot afford to continue to, I guess, lose trades in this middle lane. But he's level 6, and so in terms of trading, you would favor EMP more.
Well, they're going to have Gragas coming over the top here. Does get the body slam down, puts down the barrel as well. Karma going to get a shield up as well. Gets the Q down. The Ignite will be enough from EMP. Isras Gaming pull a kill back.
Yeah, and the Q connecting from Karma was a massive deal just there from Newbie. Get themselves that trade. Secure a bit of damage perhaps on this middle lane turret. And an advantage for LeBlanc. I just mentioned how good she can get at level 6 in terms of trading, because Azir can't overcommit and use his ultimate for a trade. Needs it for the utility. So very well timed from Kratos to be there at all, from EMP to get the burst down.
Hard Random still have a slight lead there, but they've been able to use the Karma other than just in that 2-on-2 effectively so far, helping out with that mid lane gank. Now as they return up into the top lane, they are a little bit behind this Lucian for now. He's picked up a BF sword after that first game, going up against the recurve bow coming out from Kalista, so definitely has a nice item power spike for himself at the moment.
Yeah, that's the nature of Illusion Kalista lane as well, is the item spikes, what the items that they actually buy. Lucian's always stronger than Kalista, but if the trade continues and Kalista hasn't outright lost the trade, there's always the Ren stacks. And with a recurve bow, you stack them a little bit quicker.
This turret, though, naturally getting taken down incredibly low by Hard Random. They're only about 600 gold up against ahead of ISG. That's just with the trade of kills going up in the top lane and the mid lane. We'd have to think, once that turret falls, it breaks open a part of the map for Hard Random and also gives them a nice gold boost.
You know something most people don't know, Fish? Is that you max W second on Azir. No one knows that.
Why do you max W on it second on Azir?
Well, everyone just thinks that you max the E because it does more damage or gives you a bigger shield, right? But you want more soldiers.
Well, let's take a look at those soldiers later. It's Graves now. He's going to get jumped on. The Hard Random jungler was caught between a rock and a hard place. Good on Bar to get the stun here, but still, they pick up another kill for themselves, Isserus Gaming.
Yeah, they do well. The vision that they had was aptly placed, in right place at the right time as well was Kratos. And things are starting to look a little bit better for this Latin America South team. Hard Random. Glimmers of brilliance on the first day, and still a lot of mistakes throughout the third.
They're bouncing back off a loss earlier today too, which means this game is incredibly important for them. Isserus Gaming, they're seen as one of the weaker teams at the moment. They came into it strangely as also one of the contending teams from Latin America South. People thought that they'd be one of the favorites, even put up a poor performance. And it's an important game for Hard Random, bouncing off a loss against a team that is arguably weaker than them at the moment. In the current standings of IWCI, they need to pick up a win here, but so far, Isserus Gaming cleaned up their early game slightly.
Yeah, it's definitely getting it together. What? That stun was insanity. I don't know if it's Bard or if it's Liquid. I think it's Liquid's Bard. He just hits everything.
He's good.
He's real good.
Like, you know, good players.
Like he hard carried, Hard Random.
His Bard skill shot's a targeted spell. Gets to click on where it goes. So take a look at the bottom lane for once. Poppy and Maokai are just going to fight each other. They're literally just going to slap each other and everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. It's kind of just, that's just the way it is, really. There's two tanks hitting each other. Nothing really surprising.
I'll fight you.
Yeah, but they do hit the crap out of each other for what it's worth. It's brilliant. Oh, get him. Pride is winning it.
Slowly.
He absolutely is still dominating the lane.
I kind of think that Maokai did this to himself. He bought a Sunfire Cape. You're not meant to set your own self on fire. You're just a tree, but here's a friend. Graves going to try and get some damage down onto the Poppy. Dashes away, popping the ultimate. And only going to be able to knock back the tree. But there is all the damage coming out from the shotgun. One more pellet to the face will be enough. Hard Random tie it back up 2-2.
Yeah, and once again, this Graves is really far ahead, even in comparison to Kratos. He comes into this bottom lane. Doesn't get ulted out. Body blocked by Smurf as well. Very clever stuff from HR. They get themselves the turret, you would imagine, after that kill.
Graves takes down turrets so quickly with all those pellets coming out. But this is aggressive from ISG. They've got Gragas up in the top lane. Bard tries to flash forward, puts a magical journey down. Will be able to get the stun. Temper Fate only locks down Lucian. That's a Gragas, man. You have to deal with him. Few more spears will be ripped out of him. He gets taken down, but they're not done yet. The Blanc's going to get onto this Lucian, dodging the chase.
Yeah, he's got it.
Auto attacks are good. The final one is going to be able to take him down incredibly low, but the heal's enough to save him.
Yeah, the heal saved for the last second and almost baits them in to dive too deep as well. Hard Random gets something out of it. Remember that their jungler and top laner are working together, but their bottom lane is suffering now.
It certainly is. The Poppy got taken down. I believe they got the turret as well from that trade, and now they've got a dragon on top of that. So even though all these kills seem like they're going in Isserus Gaming's favor, they're still 1,000 gold behind the team.
Yeah, definitely. They're doing well still. Hard Random, and they're yet to utilize their mid laner.
Yep.
He's kind of just been sitting there, and EMP now becoming a pivot point for the team, like being able to go to that top lane. It's actually quite important. Whereas they don't need to do that with the Azir. Like, if they can keep it close to standard at the very least and start to scale through to the mid game, when he finishes off a full first item, that's when you'll really see Kira show up.
And you know, we take a look, EMP gets a lot of damage onto this Azir. Has to flash away, actually. Kira not liking that trade too much as Bard. He's going to get locked down up in the top lane. Kalista going to throw a couple of spears over the wall.
Guess who's here again?
Gragas is back up top. That's what they want to talk about. The two junglers. they've been having a decent impact on this game, like we mentioned at the start of the block.
Yeah, well, we called them the most important part of this entire team composition solely because the 2v2, they're just going to hit each other. Like, by design, they're actually just going to sit there and hit each other until someone gets low enough. Jungler's actually aiding that, influence the pace of that lane even further. One jungler, however, was looking more towards the hard farm variety and just found his way in through a ridiculous level advantage.
Finally, the top lane turret will fall down in favor of hard random. With that, they're about 2,500 gold ahead of Isurus Gaming. This is just from laning phase alone. They've been able to go toe-to-toe against Isurus Gaming, pick up a small lead for themselves this early in.
Like, Steos is the same level as both solo laners at the moment. That seriously is the biggest deal to me. Like, sure, Miracle and Licorice were pushing that down, but they pushed it down because of Steos. And that was actually the tempered fade. I think dodged. Who knows? But once again, like, he's actually so far ahead that he's now influencing lanes. So by getting that kill, getting the turret chipped, it was easy for them to then pressure now and take. Ganks bottom, takes that turret. Steos is doing everything.
So far. We'll have to see if the rest of his team can pull back for him as well, help him out. I mean, reacting to his plays quite nicely so far. CMP takes the double end of the Q coming out from Graves.
Because he's doing everything.
This is a little bit of a saving grace for Isurus Gaming as well up at the top lane. They were able to chunk down the outer turret there as well. So eventually we'll be able to pull back the Goldie when they finally take it down. But hard random, they have their eyes set on this mid lane outer turret as well. They're going objective to objective, trying to increase the lead as much as possible this early in the game against Isurus Gaming.
And it's very close to going down. You would imagine one more wave where it's left wave cleared. That will fall. And this once again sets them up because the mid lane turret falling down, the mid lane outer turret in particular falling down, makes the map a lot more open for you to do as you'd please. You don't have to dive short lanes in that respect then. It becomes a bit longer.
And this really feels like the start of the game where Isurus Gaming are like, okay, we need to hunker down now. We need to just try and hold it out because that's where we're good at. Hard random, they're winning this early game quite nicely. It almost feels like they need to try and push that advantage as soon as possible against this team. But for now, Rift Herald is going to fall down. Temper Fade actually going to be pulled up. Graves has to flash away. They're going to try and fight over this blue buff. The rest of Hard Random's here as well. Teleports, they're going to be coming in. The blue buff has to reset eventually. Magical Journey does come out. They're going to continue this chase onto Isurus Gaming. The Karma Shield going to help them run out. But Kalista, that's not your side of the map. Runs into a Lucian, puts so many spears in him. Here comes the LeBlanc. They take him down. Isurus Gaming able to pick up that kill, but they're still looking for a fight. Gragas, incredibly low. The chains are going to be onto the LeBlanc. Karma should have changed of her own to lock down this Graves, but good old Bardo, what are you doing, mate? Trying to take down this Kalista. He got the meme slaps, he gets the exhaust, he gets the kill, one-on-one the AD carry. Well done from Bard there, and the rest of Isurus Gaming, they're getting massacred by the lineup. Sorry, Hard Random, they're getting massacred by the lineup of Isurus Gaming as Bard finally rejoins that fight. He's going to get slammed against the wall now by the Poppy, and LeBlanc picks up that kill. It's 7-4 on the scoreboard.
And the only saving grace that Hard Random have got is that Liquid remains to be a god on Bard. That is the only thing they have to save them right now. With the advantages they had, they fumbled the engage, and they overcommitted after they fumbled the engage, and they actually just get out-rotated for that. EMP comes in, Pride finds his way back into engage as well, and it's a simple team fight. They just didn't have anything to follow it up anymore. They should not have committed without the Lucian.
And they eventually take back that top lane turret. The mid lane turret, though, will fall down in favor of Hard Random, with the minions pushing that one down for them. And just like that, even though it was a good team fight for Isurus Gaming, they're still down 1,000 gold against Hard Random. Hard Random, they're doing everything they can to stay ahead early.
Yeah, and to be fair, 1,000 gold still doesn't feel like a lot when you look at what the players have currently accrued for themselves. Once the Morellos is done for EMP as well, like, that guy's going to be unbelievably strong. Doesn't even matter what the opposition has. In fact, he is miles ahead of Kira, who's just genuinely struggling. A 3-1 Kalista as well.
Yep. Matched
completed items.
Is Kira going to get jumped on? He's gone.
He's just dead.
EMP picks up a solo kill in the mid lane as Isurus Gaming looking strong so far. 4-8. They're not ahead in gold right now, but they're definitely ahead in terms of pressure in the early game.
Just that, like, they don't need to be ahead in gold either. That's the other converse point to that, is momentum is much more important sometimes than gold is. This early in the game, Hard Random are just straight up losing the map. So they don't have any momentum. And Isurus Gaming have given it back to them. And starting to close the gold lead with the momentum actually makes you feel further ahead than you are.
And this is a little bit scary. It's Risk Gaming. It's a team that the later you go, the stronger they get, the scarier they get as well. To look this dominant quite early in the game, it's not looking good for Hard Random for now. Still a very even game between these two teams, and Hard Random was able to take quite a lot of structures. Now it's Risk Gaming looking to try and return the favor. They take down the mid lane outer turret. We'll be looking for Dragon, I believe.
It's actually just Graves against the world for Hard Random at the moment.
Still in the best job he possibly can. He's going to get poked out by LeBlanc there. 2 spells is enough to take him down to half his health. The Dragon has been started by Risk Gaming. They want to try and take as many objectives as possible right now.
Yeah, and they should go from this Dragon, if it's not contested, to the bottom lane turret and try and take that one down.
For now, they're settling with just taking out the Dragon. That's the second Dragon of the game. 1-1 for both these teams. And they're moving exactly doing just that. Moving down towards the bottom lane now, looking to taking down the outer turret as well. They pull back the gold lead. It's dead even between these two teams. Hard Random with this turret. Sorry, Risk Gaming with this turret could potentially pull ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got control of the map right now, and you can see Lucian top lane, Azir mid lane, neither of them with teleport. This 100% is going to go down, and honestly, they should just continue if they continue to see Lucian and Azir.
They're going to pop the Karma shield and run away from that. They pick up the turret for themselves, getting themselves just under 1,000 gold ahead of Hard Random for now. Suddenly, this game's been flipped one more time. It's not only looking like it's Risk Gaming on this very weak early game team, they're proving that they're pretty strong coming into 20 minutes here.
Yeah, it continues to be back and forth between both of these teams, but primarily Risk Gaming have found their stride. And you would think that once LeBlanc recalls, finishes that full item, and once they get the upgraded Runan's Hurricane for Zycro, then they'll comfortably be taking fights and comfortably taking objectives, because they are very close to that point of power.
And let's take a look at all the items really quickly from these two teams. Hextrigger picked up by Graves here, so going to be able to keep him alive from that LeBlanc burst for a little bit longer. LeBlanc, like you mentioned, looking for them around Nomicon next. The two tanky junglers, the two junglers coming in. Sorry, not the junglers. The two tanky members from the side of Risk Gaming, Poppy and Gragas, are picking up some small items here and there. Sunfire Cape completed, looking for the Spirit Visage next. Luden's Echo already been picked up as well, looking for a Randuin's Omen, it seems, coming up next from the Gragas. Like you mentioned, Kalista looking for her Zeal item. Probably the Runa's Hurricane coming out next from her. Going to be able to deal a lot of damage. And lots of the gold right now for Risk Gaming onto these two carries at the moment.
And that's the good thing, though, because it's onto 2 carries. Like, it's not just onto the mid laner or just on the AD carry. They've got 2 points of power that they can work around and pivot with. And it makes their availability to team fights, to objectives, to pretty much just moving around the map a lot easier. As you could have LeBlanc soloing mid lane, perhaps, and then you just bring Zycro and 4-man them because Zycro is still very strong.
Here comes the Temper Fate, though. Looks like Hard Random trying to make a play. They're going to flash forward, trying to lock down EMP. They're going to miss everything there. So much burnt to try and get him.
Yeah, it's a LeBlanc, so it's very hard to hit the Bard ultimate on. But the flash still used. And fair enough, it's a summoner for a summoner. Only the ultimate is the excess.
Risk Gaming trying to respond to this by taking down the top lane inner turret on the side of Hard Random's map. Immediately, they're going to respond by sending members up into the top lane to try and contend for this one. Lots of damage going down to Lucian. They put a few spears into him. They're going to be content with trying to poke this one out. Magical Journey going to be popped by Bard to get out of there. Risk Gaming trying to take away the jungle from Hard Random now, slowly moving in towards their territory.
Yeah, but you can see the aggression now that they're starting to advance forward, and this is a team that usually wants late game. Usually just want a late game team fight as well. If you accelerate them in any way, generally they do look like quite a strong team here. And something worth noting, I suppose, at the moment is just how strong and confident they do feel.
And it looks like they're being a lot more proactive as well. They were very reactive to a lot of teams they played against. Even their drawn-out game against Lion Gaming and Saigon Jokers, they were very reactive to the plays that were thrown against them. Now, being a little bit more proactive, picking this Karma Kalista lane, trying to get deep into the jungle of Hard Random and pick up picks wherever they can as well. They're looking a lot more solid in this game. Hard Random, on the other hand, they suffered a loss earlier today, which was considered an upset as this blue buff almost gets stolen, but here's that Temper Fate. Will be able to lock down Kalista there. It will be the LeBlanc that gets over the wall. The stun's not going to come out from the Bard. EMP trying to dash back in. There's the Temper Fate. We'll be able to lock down 2. But here's Kira. Separates the team. Graves picks up a kill onto the support though. But Miracle, he's still alive. Takes down Zerko. Suddenly, Hard Random. They turn around a team fight. They've already got 3. They're chasing for more. They're going to go for Poppy now. Pride taking so much damage. The smoke screen going to slow him down. Flash does come out to get away from that, but Isserus Gaming, they trade 3 for 1, and that is not what they were looking for.
And at 23 minutes in the game, losing 3 members could mean the Baron does get started here for Hard Random. They've got the Maokai to tank. They've got a Graves and Lucian to burst it out. This will at the very least get low quick. And Kratos has to clutch.
He definitely has to here. Immediately, Hard Random, they don't want anything to do with that Baron anymore. They just back off, put the Magical Journey down, get the heck out of there. But they've tied up the game. They made it dead even one more time. I think that's exactly what they would have liked to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And the sad thing is, Kira was very close to getting the best play possible out. But because he got stuck on the wall with his advance, then he couldn't get EMP, who honestly played brilliantly and poorly all the same. Because dodging the Bard ultimate put him in a predicament, and then going back in put him back into the same spot where he actually dies from.
The ultimate was also able to lock down Kalista in that team fight. And we talked about this earlier. All the gold, it's onto these 2 carries. You know, which is a good thing for Isserus Gaming. They split up their resources. They have 2 people dealing damage on their team. But that Tip of Fate, it was a 2-for-1 punch coming in from Bard. Able to lock down both of them, forcing LeBlanc to distortion back.
Well, they were just
locking out Kalista.
Rotating, though. Like, that's the thing, right? Like, they didn't have the front line ready to establish themselves with an effective team fight. Hard Random got there and had all 5 members ready to go sooner. And thus the team fight was much better for them.
Well, Dragon will be back up in about 10 seconds here. We'll have to see which team decides to contest for it. They've traded Dragons 1 apiece for now. And it's dead even in this game. It could possibly be another fight breaking out over the pit. For now, it's Isserus Gaming that have control of the pit. It'll be Hard Random that try to take control or take it back.
Yeah, and keep your eyes on Maokai as well, because into a LeBlanc, Smurf is probably the biggest point of power on this team.
So far, they're just trading control over which side of the river. Smurf trying to poise aggressively forward. Graves looking to try and get the smite off. Kratos is here as well. He does eventually get the smite, but that causes a team fight. Pride, he's going to go in first. Good Temper Fate locks down the AD carry support. Temper Fate comes out as well, trying to stop them. There's the Maokai into the backlines. Everyone's getting taken down on the side of Isserus Gaming. They're getting slaughtered here as a double kill comes out for Azir. Only EMP, he's left alive. But Bard, he's trying to stop him from staying alive any longer. Puts the Magical Journey down, keeps chasing, does get chained there. But still, a 4-for-0 trade for Hard Random, and they get the Dragon.
Yeah, and absolutely with that Dragon and with those kills, they will go straight to the Baron once more. EMP is going to have to pull a rabbit out of a hat to get anything done there. And that is a massive lead now established for Hard Random. And I mentioned the Maokai. Maokai was everything in that fight. He locked down all of the carries and the support for over 5 seconds. And did not even get close to dying, because just Maokai things established them an entire team fight.
And this is the Hard Random we expected to show up today. You know, they were a little bit shaky at first, trying to bounce back from that loss, but now they look fully revitalized and fully energized here against Isserus Gaming. This has been another one of those back and forth matches though, but it's completely swung in Hard Random's favor now.
I think it's safe to say Smurf not losing his lane and going 0-4 is a pretty big determining factor in the outcome of this game. Echo not being available means Maokai's life is a little bit easier.
Yep.
It helped them out a lot here.
He's been doing pretty well in this game so far. We talked about the gold distribution. Also, Isserus Gaming is looking even better on the side of Hard Random right now. Everybody has a piece of the pie at the moment. All looking very strong and picking up some nice core items as well. Lionized Crystal Scepter being picked up by the Azir, helping him with the slows. We see the Rapid Fire Cannon coming out from Lucian as well. Top lane Maokai, he's got 3 taking items. It's going to be so difficult to cut down this tree.
Yeah, no, that tree is basically made out of metal, so no one's cutting it down at all.
Gonna melt him. Not very easy to do with no fire on the side of Isserus Gaming. But for now, Hard Random trying to use that Baron buff to push for the mid lane inner turret. Isserus Gaming do whatever they can to try and wave clear as effectively as possible. This Sun turret being a little bit of a nuisance, helping with their push as well.
They've still got the point of power that is Smurf in this bottom lane, so the natural rotation towards the free tower now occurs, and that gold lead will stretch further because this is not going to slow down anytime soon.
They're 5,000 gold ahead now, and immediately they duck into Fog of War, try to clear out the vision inside the jungle of Isserus Gaming.
But this is a clever and smart really refined way of actually executing the strategy, right? Go between bottom, go between mid. Make sure the minion waves are pushed, secure vision, and control vision in that jungle area, and then execute on objectives.
And they're doing it fantastically. Already took down the bottom lane in a turret. Temper Fate comes out, forces the flash coming out for Callisto as well, and they take the mid lane in a turret.
Yeah, Bard, man, don't give Liquor Bard.
Yeah,
I feel like we said that after the first game, but he is just outright putting in
good
work.
Bard.
He is like the best Bard at this tournament nearly, besides Dumbledore.
They're going to try and jump onto the rest of members of Swiss Gaming here, fighting in between turrets. A flash comes in for Kratos, trying to start this fight for his team. Knocks back the Graves, immediately flashes out. Good ultimate from Kira to separate the team. Magical Journey does get put down. Nobody from Isra decides to take it, but it just reset a team fight.
Yeah, and the reset's the best case scenario for Hard Random.
Run away, bud. That's a Magical Journey you need to take to get out of here. Pride looking to try and continue this chase. Now Isra Gaming, they put on the acceleration pedal, looking for a chase. Maokai going to try and slow down the front line, is able to successfully do so. Suddenly, they look like they want to turn around, but once again, a standoff, a stalemate. They're going to reset one more time.
It's absolutely just a giant standoff at the moment. Hard Random didn't want to fight it, but then Isurus Gaming kind of presented the fight for them and actually made it a favorable fight. And you can see the immediate turnaround.
And we can take stock of where things are at the moment. 7,000 gold lead for Hard Random. Their Baron buff has expired, but they're still putting a lot of pressure onto this top lane inner turret. For now, though, just going to back off, use the Magical Journey and the recalls to get the heck out of there and possibly return for another fight with their items back up and available.
Yeah, well, EMP would have instantly killed Bard if they tried anything aggressive once more. Magic resistance is a must-have. As you can see, the immediate buy out of Liquor was a lot of it. Makes a lot of sense.
He's like, oh, I don't want to die to this assassin anymore. Lock over the Iron Solari. I help you. I help myself. Everyone's good.
Yeah, and a null magic mantle towards the Mikhail's Crucible to keep people even more alive. Which you would imagine that actually goes towards the Azir primarily. Actually not that bad of a pickup because he's going for the Abyssal Scepter.
Yep. It's about to mention he's got his Negatron Cloak. Even Maokai went back, picks up another Chain Vest for himself. So we take a look at the gold really quickly distributed here. There we go. That is fantastic gold distribution. Everybody is even on the side of Hard Random.
That was a full Void Staff as well. He kept it at the Negatron.
Wow.
Like, that's a lot of money now just put into items for Kira. This Azir has just gone from like 0 to hero. Very much empowered for success moving forward. And at the moment, honestly, they can just look towards this sieging once more. Harder to control sideways, however, because they don't have the Baron buff. So Maokai is not going to do a whole lot of stuff against a Poppy. And it comes down to Kira and to, I guess, Liquor it as well with his engage and the damage that they can do when they do it.
EMP and Zerko are probably the saving graces on the side of Isurus Gaming as well. They've got lots of damage from, you see the Void Star being picked up by the LeBlanc. He's 4-1-2 right now. Zerko is also 3-3-1 with 3 major items being picked up. So you have to think if they can't get locked down by the side of Hard Random, which they've been doing really well, they're going to put out a lot of damage onto this lineup.
Again, like, to not get locked down against the Maokai is impossible.
Yep.
Like, he guarantees that you're locked down. That's the thing. And this is also where they've kind of gone wrong by having a Callista and a LeBlanc. And that Maokai pick is just the smartest decision they could have made.
Certainly has been from the Hard Random. They prioritized that as their first pick during their draft rotation. And now suddenly with this gold lead, they've been able to put on the pressure, try and control the objectives away from Isurus Gaming. Blue buff still gets taken by LeBlanc, though, able to cheekily take that one back from his jungle. And that's the shortest magical journey I've ever seen.
Yeah, they secure themselves that blue buff. A small detail, but it could mean a big deal. Means LeBlanc could get more rotations of her combo off. But once again, the siege has actually started.
They got a lot of damage down onto this inhibitor turret. Teleport actually coming out from Maokai. They're putting some damage out to Kratos. Kratos eating the Maokai, twisted and advanced, deep into the backlines, takes it down.
That's the turret too.
Trying to do whatever he can to keep the backline occupied from the side of Isurus, but Hard Random dodged the ultimate. They're going to be able to take him down as well. Lucian going aggressive into the backlines as well as they work towards taking down the inhibitor. EMP even went down in that fight. Hard Random might just end the game here, Rusty.
Like, they straight up just destroy them. Smurf gets into the backline. He's doing it again.
They're going for it. Twisted Avant goes in. They take down Callista. What an ultimate coming from Kira here. Pride's going to go down next. This is game for Hard Random.
And Hard Random, they execute with conviction right now and dismantle Isurus Gaming, who they looked okay early, but they really did falter around the mid-game. And this is the polar opposite to the last game we casted, because a Maokai's there, and can actually engage for these teams.
They can run at people and do stuff.
Yeah, and the Kalista LeBlanc, both champions are countered by Maokai to an extent. Makes life easier for them.
And you know what? That game, it really felt like at the start, Isris Gaming were cleaning up some stuff. They were making mistakes here and there, but were being a little bit more proactive about it. It seems like hard random, though. Once they found that switch and flicked it, that was it. It was just lights out for Isris Gaming.
And I think it's safe to say that the switch they were flicking was Bard's ultimate. Like, Bard's ultimate off cooldown, let's engage, let's kill 2 people, wonderful, let's win the game. Like, that's basically how it happened. They found themselves with enough of a gold lead that it was like, well, we can siege bottom. Maokai comes in, kills the backline. Again, LeBlanc can't get out. Gragas got bursted out. He's not really tanky at that stage in the game, going for the runic echoes. It's just so well executed.
And you know what? Let's talk about that Bard really quickly, because that was some fantastic Bard play. We talked about him and Dumbledore being the 2 veteran Bard players of this scene. And you know, that game kind of shows why it should be banned out against the team more.
Yeah, like 100% ban it. I absolutely believe that if it's not banned, then you're making a mistake. It was the last time they played. Guess what? Lost the game. Who'd have thought banning Bard would influence the outcome of the game? No, Liquid is very good, and that was a very impressive performance. Once more, it's almost becoming not surprising.
And you know what? Hard random, they're able to bounce back from that loss. They looked really shaky there, but still able to pull it back, pick up their second win of the day. Now they can rest. They're still 4-1 in the group. They're still leading the IWCI standings for now. Are they going to continue this impressive form? Because that looked really good for them.
I think that's absolutely a team that can take themselves to the finals. I think that plain and simple, that particular way that they ended the game, the confidence with which they carried themselves is reminiscent to me of Supermassive when they beat Chiefs in very convincing fashion.
Well, congratulations to Hard Random. They still stay top of the table. We're going to go for a quick break, but we'll be back with game number 5. Don't go anywhere.